You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button.
Jay Johnson is piecing together his 2026 roster coming off a national championship. And part of that, of course, is losing a slew of really talented players to the Major League Baseball draft. And among them is Connor Ware, who was selected in the 15th round by the New York Mets, signed his professional contract, so he's off to pro ball. And Connor Ware, good enough to spend a couple of minutes with us here on AFR. Hey, Connor, it's a pleasure, man. Thanks for the time. How are you?
Doing good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. It's our pleasure. Hey, let me just start with the most obvious ones immediately, then we'll go backwards. When the Mets call in round 15, what was that decision like that you had to make, whether to accept their offer or maybe consider a return to LSU?
Yeah, it was definitely a lot to process, a lot to think about. Me and my family had kind of talked about, how the draft would go before. So thankfully we already talked about that and kind of figured out what I wanted to do. But yeah, I mean, it was a tough decision. Obviously, coaches are awesome at LSU. It's always a tough decision to kind of turn down school going back. But ultimately, my dream is to play baseball. So when they gave me that opportunity, I was glad to take it.
Did you know when – so often, of course, we know like the top 10 rounds, the bonus slot pool, and if you're outside of round 10, it could be a little more ambiguous. Did you know when the Mets called in round 15 that you had accepted a contract at that point and that you were going to sign your professional deal?
I wasn't 100% at the moment. It kind of all happened so fast.
Yeah.
I didn't really hear much like during the draft. I was kind of just watching and hoping stuff. But yeah, it could just kind of all happen really fast. I wasn't 100% positive yet, but after a lot of thought, I decided to go that direction.
What did I'm certain you talked to Jay Johnson or Nate Yeskie afterwards. What did the LSU coaches have to say?
They were all super happy for me. They're all super supportive. Obviously, they wanted me to come back, but I also, they understood that, this was my dream and this is what I wanted to do. And so they were really supportive of that and just appreciative. And I thank them for that, for being super understanding.
Connor Ware is our guest. If you had come back, what did they discuss with you, Connor? Like, what would that role or opportunity have looked like?
It kind of just, would have been an open slot, just going into the fall, proving myself, going into the fall, especially with a brand new team like we would have had this year, it's everybody's game, So just had to go back in and prove myself again.
Sure. Of course, going out a national champion is it's never a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
If you've had now a month to give some thought to the amazing run that you all went on. When you're asked for the rest of your life about that team, that championship run, what are you going to say?
I'm super thankful. I can't express how thankful I am to just have the team that we had. All the guys on there were just incredible, all great friends. I'm super blessed to be able to call them a family for the rest of my life. I think the big thing about winning a national championship, me and a couple of my friends have talked about is just, that group is going to be together forever. And so the memory of that team and all the guys are always going to be connected. And I think that's what I'm most appreciative of. And I think that's what I'm, most thankful for going into this next phase of life is just that I'll be able to be with these guys, for the rest of my life and I'll always be in contact with them.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you thought about it, like obviously, the 2000 team had their 25-year reunion this year. And in 25 years, like, that's going to be you guys back at the box, being celebrated and being honored that way. It's really cool. Have you thought about have you all had any talk about the championship rings or anything like that yet?
We haven't yet. I think they're going to surprise us, but I'm super excited to get back to Baton Rouge for that and see all the guys again.
Yeah. So where are you now?
I am in Port St. Lucie, Florida, at the Complex League with the Mets. So.
Oh, so have the Mets already given you your rookie ball assignment?
No, not yet. I'm still in rehab. I had that back injury towards the beginning of the year that I was kind of working through, so they're kind of shut me down for a little bit, just focus on getting that 100% healthy.
Yeah, I did want to ask you about that because there were always whispers that you had the back injury and maybe it limited you a little bit. I mean, obviously you had the great outing back in Arlington against Dallas Baptist near the beginning of the season. And now that the season's over, maybe you can elaborate a bit, like how healthy or how injured were you this year?
I always wanted to help the team. I was good enough to throw, and that's why I kept going out there. And, I wanted to help in whatever way possible. I definitely wasn't 100%, but, I was good enough to throw, and that's ultimately what I wanted to do to help the team regardless, however I could. So,
yeah. When you think back to Omaha and you all going on that amazing run, are there games or moments in games that when you close your eyes, you could still visualize, like from your vantage point, what you saw that you hope you'll be able to remember and tell those stories forever?
Yeah, absolutely. It's super surreal. When I was standing with a couple of my friends, roommates in the dugout, we were just sitting there talking and like, man, we just need to take this all in. Like, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I'm really glad we were able to do that and kind of get those memories in my head, things we can kind of remember for the rest of our lives, stories we can tell our kids, and I'm super thankful to have those experiences.
What story do you think you'll tell your kids first?
I think the first one I'll tell is just the walk-off against Arkansas. That was probably the craziest game I've ever been a part of, and just such a roller coaster of emotions. So that's definitely the first one I'll tell. I feel like I'll be able to relive that moment for the rest of my life.
I mean, was there a moment you're watching that, like, the ball ricochets off of Davalon's shoulder, or like any of that stuff? Like, yeah. What of all that was the craziest for you sitting there watching, taking it all in?
Yeah, that was definitely probably the craziest. I was down there in the bullpen with all the guys. I was sitting down there with Anthony and Chase, and that happened, and we were just all in shock, and we were just super, like, such a mix of emotions, because I kind of felt bad for Davalon. Such a great player that definitely wouldn't have been in that situation without him. But at the same time, obviously excited because we get put in a situation where we can walk off the game. So it was kind of just a roller coaster of emotions, and I'm super glad the way it turned out. Super thankful.
Connor Ware is our guest. Hey, man, let me ask you, obviously a lot of the young guys on this staff maybe who didn't play a giant role that will probably have an expanded role next year. Anybody that you think fans maybe didn't get to see a bunch from this year that they will in the future that you think are really talented guys that will have an impact?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to leave anybody out. They're all super, super great. Looking back at all the freshmen, you got Kaysen, Cooper, William, Maverick Rizzi. Looking back at all those freshman guys on the staff, they are all super mature. And I feel like for their age and for their experience in college baseball that they had, they all played a pretty big role at the end of the season just for being a freshman. And I'm super excited to see where they are going into the next season. They're definitely all going to be huge leaders on the staff. And so I'm super excited to kind of see how they lead and where that staff ends up next year, because I think they have potential to be the greatest in the country.
Connor Ware, now part of the Mets organization. Hey, before you go, did you ever have to face Derek Curiel in an inter squad?
Yeah, unfortunately I did.
How did that go, man? What's it like throwing to him?
It's always tough because he has such a good eye and he knows exactly what the zone is. So, you can't throw anything in the zone because he's going to hit it, and if you throw anything out of the zone, he's going to take it. So you're always in a bind with that. But in the fall was so crazy. I feel like every time he was up to bat, he worked himself into a hitter's count. So it's pretty incredible to watch. I'm super excited to see what he's going to do this year.
Yeah, man. What a great season that we all got to go along for the ride that you all took us on, man. Congrats on being a national champion. Good luck with the Mets in your next phase, and thanks for taking some time today, man. We really appreciate you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Tiger fans.
Of course. That is Connor Ware, forever a national champion with the 2025 LSU Tigers. It's interesting. You heard him say it there. It's you can't help but wonder a little bit of what if he had been healthy, because all of the reports in fall were that Connor Ware was LSU's best arm in the fall. I mean, I talked to scouts who had seen him pitch for 5 years that were like, if anyone in that rotation falters, Ware is the next guy up. And it was very clear that he just wasn't healthy. But you heard him say it. He wanted to help the team, so he's healthy enough to throw. When he could take the ball, he did. But it clearly limited his effectiveness. But a guy, 15th round pick of the Mets, signed his pro contract, opted for pro ball, and I don't think there's any doubt. Like, just the physical ability he has from the left side, that's a guy that he goes and gets healthy, he's going to be awesome and have a great chance to be a big leaguer. So we wish him well. We appreciate Connor Ware for a couple of minutes.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.